We believe
it's time to remember.
Time to remember.
Remember our purpose.
To remember the intelligence guiding our purpose.
And that astrology holds a key.
We believe living our purpose is not an option.
It's necessary.
To live better.
Be better. Better friends.
Parents.
Children.
Lovers.
Be fully alive.
We see a world where people understand and embrace who they are, enabling them to embrace others
and take care of each other
and the planet.
We believe we can't remember alone.
We're meant to do this together.
Together.
To co-create.
We believe millions of souls are hearing the call to study the sky.
To declare the stars are guides.
And the universe and earth are partners.
We believe our ancients embodied this wisdom.
And we believe the world is ready to align to it again.
We believe the journey needs to be accessible, practical, and grounded.
so we can use the wisdom of astrology to live better lives.
We study the cosmic curriculum.
We study the cosmic curriculum.
So we can connect and live powerfully.
On purpose.
And together.
Together.
For a new world.
We are astrology lovers.
Astrology lovers.
Astrology lovers.
We are
Astrology Hub.
We are Astrology Hub. We are Astrology Hub.
We are Astrology Hub.
Good job.
All right.
Awesome.
Okay, we're almost done. Oh my God.
We believe... That's not a word.
Honestly, I'm so thrilled about you and what you do and everything.
All right. I hope that you enjoyed that. We so enjoyed the process of making it. We actually got to be with all of those amazing people in Chicago at UAC. That was one of the projects we were working on while we were there. And it just feels like the perfect summation of everything that we're doing. So please, we would love to hear your feedback. This is the first time that we're broadcasting it to a larger audience. And so if you want to give us any feedback on the manifesto video, we would love it. We'll play it again at the end if you missed it. And for those of you just tuning in, you are watching Astrology Hub TV. My name is Amanda Puel-Walsh, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Astrology Hub. And today is actually our last day of Astrology Hub TV, and we are going out with a bang. We have Ron Baker on. Cannot wait to share him with all of you. He's incredible. For those of you who were, wow, I just thought of this. This is another full circle moment. Right before this eclipse and new moon on Friday, this just feels so perfect because before we went on live, I was reflecting on the fact that we've been doing Astrology Hub TV for over a year. And it started with the preparations for last year's August eclipse. And so all of the episodes were gearing up for that eclipse. We did our big global eclipse meditation event. Ron Baker was one of the featured speakers for that event. And it seems just so perfect that we're just kind of like rounding it out, closing it up, and really using this time to reflect on everything that we've learned over the past, and I know Ron's going to talk more about this, but in the recent past, using the time to really reflect, and it's a begin again moment. It is like, okay, restart. This is something new. And so I know we're going to be talking more about that. But what I wanted to say is please look forward to something new from us. We will be launching a podcast in November. And so the reason why we're moving from the Astrology Hub TV format to a podcast, and actually I'm going to be co-hosting the podcast with Donna Woodwell, and we'll be featuring guests and doing a lot of similar things, but different. And the podcast just gives you all a more universal platform. It makes it easier for you to access the content, like while you're in your car, when you're at the gym, when you're doing the dishes, whatever it is you're doing throughout your day. We just love the podcast format and how easy it is for you to stay in touch and in tune. We're also going to be shifting to more of like an actual show format where there'll be segments you can rely on every week. And again, I'm co-hosting it with Donna, which is just going to be amazing. We always have so much fun together. And that's another full circle moment because Donna and I started together with Astrology Hub TV. She was featured over and over and over. I was like, wow, I always love doing this show when Donna is the guest. So more of Donna, more of Astrology Hub, and just in a whole new enhanced format for all of you to enjoy. Okay, so I hope that's exciting for you, as exciting as it is for us. Again, look for notifications about that starting probably in about October. In between now and then, we do have our big astrological summit happening. So this is our third annual Astrology Summit 3.0. And this year's theme is raising consciousness and aligning with your spiritual path. And we are going to be featuring some of the most amazing astrologers, scientists, physicists, just really giving you a full rounded perspective on astrology and how recent discoveries in metaphysics and physics in general are helping us realize the validity of astrology and also the usefulness of astrology in helping us as a tool to create better lives, to really realize the impact that we have on our reality and that we are here as conscious beings to work with it, to co-create with it, all the things we said in our manifesto video. So we're going to be focusing on that, diving really deep into that topic. There'll be free bonus gifts from all the speakers. And again, that's free, happening September 23rd to 29th. Mark your calendar. And there will be over 20 interviews and talks as a part of that event. All right. I'm done with that. All right, let's talk about what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about 2018 and why it is considered to be a year of the resurrection of the divine plan after a summer of 3 eclipses and huge retrogrades. In this talk with self-mastery coach Ron Baker, you will receive insights on the process of ascension that happened from 1987 to 2012. You'll also contemplate a different perspective on the process of crucifixion and why it's important for us to look at it today, and learn why the resurrection of your divine soul plan begins this year. Today's episode is for you if you noticed a significant shift in energy since 2012, if you're interested in understanding the metaphysics behind our personal growth, and if you want to know how to make most of this year and beyond. Before we dive in, I'd love to tell you a little bit more about one of our favorite guests of all time, Ron Baker. Ron is a self-mastery coach, bioenergetics therapist, healing practitioner, speaker, author, and lover of life. He has a school of self-mastery in New York City called Empowered at Last. He's taught thousands of people around the world, as well as leading 15 journeys to sacred sites in places like Egypt, Tibet, and Peru for the process of planetary ascension, guided by Archangel Gabriel. A process literally affirmed by miracles on these journeys. Ron is here to tie what is taking place on September 9th as the next step of this process. I think it means September 8th as the next step of this process. He will tie this together with the astrology that has taken place during this whole past Saturn cycle of 29 years to understand the unprecedented things that are taking place right now in 2018. All right. I'm going to look at your manifesto comments because I'd love to see what you all think about that. And we're going to dive in. I'll share some of your reflections as we go throughout. Ron, it is fantastic to have you here today. Thank you so much.
I'm so glad to be back. And I had no idea it was such an auspicious, specific time frame. Last year for the eclipses, my life went into a whole new gear. And I began a launch into the world as opposed to just being in the metaphysical school in New York City. And my talk with Astrology Hub was my very first talk out in the world beyond my audience. And so to do it and be in cycles with you like this, and then even just watching the video that you just showed, exactly what we're going to be talking about. How do we get on purpose with our lives? How do we come together? How do we create an intimacy with life and the planets and stand up for what matters most to us, what is most sacred to us. And there are so many clues and hints in all of the events that are taking place. So I don't want to talk too much in this introduction. I want to jump in and begin to explore some things, but I love all of the little synchronicities. Yay.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And just the hurricane that has been forecasted to hit the Hawaiian Islands is not a hurricane right now. We're definitely just getting like the remnants of the tropical storm, but it's definitely happening right this minute. So I apologize for any like background noise because it's definitely, it got loud over here. So, okay, Ron, let's talk about the process of ascension that happened from 1987 to 2012 and how you see it related to astrology.
Perfect. In order for each of the things that I'm going to be talking about to make sense, I like to give a context. I like to give a simple map, and then everything will refer back to this map. The map is self. So I'm going to be referring to my body in various ways. I'm going to shift my position so I can go up and down. I feel like if we don't start to understand self and the real potential of self, then we can't really tap into the most meaningful purpose because it's accessed right here. What I love about that is the movement of the planets also impacts right here inside self. But if we don't have a map of self and we just look out to the planets, then it leaves some people feeling a disconnect. And all of that's really cool, but how does that have anything to do with me? And this has been my experience in my few years of exploring astrology. And I adore that everything I find out about all of that macrocosmic movement is exactly what's taking place in here. That's why I initially reached out to you and was saying, oh my God, it's so synchronistic and I would love to add my piece of the puzzle. So let's talk about that map. Two things will be really important. To understand that we have a subconscious, a conscious, and a superconscious mind. This is going to be really important for the eclipse and for the event on September 8th. Everything from here down, the solar plexus down, is the subconscious mind. There are three energy centers there. The heart chakra, which is quite huge, it goes from the bottom of the solar plexus to the hollow of the throat. This is the conscious mind. And the three energy centers up here are the superconscious mind. I'll come back to that. The process of developing as a person into more and more of who we actually are, which is our deepest purpose that we can tap into, we need to understand there are three levels of consciousness. The wonder of child consciousness, the empowerment of adult consciousness, and the greatness of soul consciousness. From the day that you are born, all three are present. So if I said to you as a 6-year-old, there's an adult inside you, it wouldn't make much sense, but now that you're an adult, you get it. It was already in there. And you had to live into all kinds of experiences to expand into that. And the soul has been there the whole time as well. But because we've had such little education about self, it seems to me, from having taught people all over the world, people haven't understood these three levels of consciousness, and they are not just implying that we're a child, an adult, and a soul. Most people move through their lives and never integrate any of the three levels. Why is that? Because in the first level, where we are intended to be nurtured in 9 specific ways, and we learn to connect to self and trust, I matter and I am supported, and we learn how to connect to self, to the core of self. That's how we would develop the wonder child consciousness. But because we've lived on a planet that hasn't understood self and the 9 levels of nurturing, we end up with layers of fear, shame, and judgment about self. And we end up stuck in wounded child consciousness. And even though we grow into adult bodies and we have adult capacities, we don't grow into empowered consciousness where of course I know myself, and of course I'm in touch with my purpose, and of course I trust my value on every level. Most people find that they're still very ruled by fear, shame, and judgment, and do their best to put on a mask of the best version that they can, but don't understand how to resolve the wounded stuff. The great news is this is all perfect, because the initial setup is the soul curriculum. You called it the cosmic curriculum in your video. I call it the soul curriculum. It's the same thing. The planets on your natal chart are an imprint of exactly this soul curriculum. And then it gets set up experientially in the first 8 years of our lives. And if we now, as adults, because we do have the capacity of adults, if we now go, wait a minute, that's not working, and I want to show up and learn how to blossom into more fulfillment, to get in touch with my authenticity, to something's not working, it's not, and this is what the planet is literally coming, crashing into, an awareness that a certain level of learning is now coming to an end. Back to the topic of endings and beginnings. So if we learn how to nurture ourselves and learn what the clear map is of self, then we can literally take that deeper truth and go in and resolve the soul curriculum at the middle, and in the center. And then we literally blossom. And I watch my clients doing this every day. Every single issue is there for the perfection of our individual soul journeys. And when we learn how to nurture it, now how does that tie into astrology as a brief introduction? The movements that happen in the planets are archetypes of energy. We have the same archetypes of energy right here. So let's briefly introduce the eclipse that's coming. The sun is represented as the heart chakra of the universe in the macrocosmic level. The moon represents the subconscious, the feminine receptive subconscious. When those align, when there's an eclipse, an alignment also happens in every single one of us. And when that alignment happens, the transfer of energy from the conscious mind to the subconscious mind and the other way is quantum accessible compared to other times. That energy literally pulls that bridge into place. And so if we know that's coming and we say, I'm going to prepare myself, what would we do on an eclipse? Let go of what no longer serves and open to the newness, endings and beginnings. We open to the newness of what is possible. Well, what does that mean? This is your purpose. Get in touch with any authentic parts of self that you can and create pieces of the vision that you want your life to be. The experiences much more fully than I want a house and I want a relationship. Yay, those are stunning places to plug in. But if we don't know how to fill them with the experience of self from an intimacy of self, then in and of themselves, it's not going to be fulfilling. So when the planets align, if you're prepared with a vision of some of what you want to put into this vortex of energy, then it moves much more powerfully. Whereas if you remain someone who goes, wow, I heard this really powerful astrological event is taking place, it's going to do this for me or to me. Well, it'll pull, but if you work with it proactively, the difference is profound. So I did not get to the initiations that you asked about, but that is the context for anything else that we'll hint at.
Perfect. All right, well, let's talk about the initiations.
Okay. The planet moves through, well, let's go to these 3 stages. Boom. The child to the adult to the soul. What creates the movement? Well, you've heard of puberty. and you've heard of midlife. What happens at puberty is all of a sudden the life force called the Kundalini sexual creative energy starts to amp up and accelerates in a big way. And this creates a pressure that is quite challenging to deal with at the beginning of puberty. We all know it, we've all been through it. And it wants to go so that we expand from the impulsion of energy into the next level of our potential. Well, when we get to midlife, we are not intended to break down, age, have disease, accelerations, all of that. We are meant to move into the potential of our greatness in the soul. But up to this point, on the planet's evolution, we have not been ready for that. We've been so in the blockages of fear, shame, and judgment that when more energy moves and we defend our survival protection racket, we become adult bodies, but we're in conflict in our lives. We don't know how to resolve this. And so we have done the best that we can do at the level we've reached. But now when you reach midlife, it's pushing again. So what happens? All that energy comes from the center out. Well, if it smashes into the blockages of fear, shame, and judgment at an even bigger way, then you're going to accelerate problems in the body. And so guess what we've reached on the planet? Planetary midlife. This is attempting to bring the planet into the greatness of soul potential. Never in the history of the planet has this happened. Certain individuals who dedicated their lives in this way throughout history, handfuls of people have dedicated and have done this expansion. But the entire planet is now at midlife, and the energies are moving and giving us clue after clue, such as the alignment that's about to take place 2 days from now for this eclipse, and it wants to move us out here. But if we don't learn how to work with it proactively by nurturing ourselves and getting to know the inner journey so that we can literally introduce deeper truths and more nurturing treatment of self, then we become a part of the accelerated challenge. Just look at the planet we're living on right now. Oh my God, the sound bites from the newsreels every day become more and more baffling. That's a beautiful part of the wake up. It is not fun. It is not pleasant, but it's showing us where we're stuck, ruled by outer focus, money, got to get something to get a sense of self, and it doesn't leave us knowing how to value self or one another. And so the wake-up call that has been happening in recent years is an attempt to get our attention to say, please, this choice is not working, and if you push it further, it works less well. Interrupt that choice and look at all these alternatives, and thank goodness there's also a huge component of people who are seeking these deeper answers and learning how to nurture and how to resolve it. So now within all that planetary midlife, we literally began to download higher levels of energy that are attempting to bring us into the initiations of soul. So what happens, just like the Kundalini builds and then we learn how to integrate it, the energy has been building in unprecedented ways from 97 to 2012, literally focused on the planetary chakras, just like we have 7 chakras. The planet has 7 primary chakras. The energies have been downloading into the planet, accelerating the pressure that also raises consciousness. When we integrate and we nurture and we learn how to resolve the wounded, dense stuff, and we open to the more nurturing, valuing alternatives, the energy raises our vibration frequency and our consciousness expands into more that is possible. This has been happening since 97, and we see unprecedented focuses on healing and astrology and all of the forms that are deep magical connections to life and the movement of life. And we also see extreme accelerations in the numbers of disease, the school shootings, the acting out, the terrorism. Both sides, depending on what your commitment within these accelerations is what's taking place. Final comment on this. I've had the privilege to literally, because of being connected with an archangel for the last 25 years, have had the privilege of leading groups and bringing focus to these events and the miracles that have occurred on these journeys and the accelerations to our life and consciousness have been profound. And I'd love on another day to tell you tons more about that.
I have to ask, what is your connection to Archangel Gabriel?
Yes. I started saying when I was about 12 years old, I have a feeling I'm being prepared for something. And I didn't even know what I was talking about. It's just that inner inkling. And I began to search for deeper answers that made life make sense. And I traveled all over the world with my first career, and I sought as many teachers as possible. Then when I came to New York City in my performing career to make my debut at Lincoln Center, I met who became my business partner for 22 years before he passed away, a man named Robert Baker. He just happens to have the same last name. And from 87 till 2012, we ended up in this connection that was profound. And Robert discovered that he had a gift of being a trance channel. And the Archangel Gabriel began to come through and was giving thousands of hours of education about how to resolve the wounded lower self and what is happening on the planet and why and how and what you can expect. And he said, my particular gift is the ability to take in tons of complex information, to apply it and integrate it and keep it simple and then share it with others. And so I'm like sort of a living record keeper, and to literally inspire. And he didn't give the green light for me to move out into the world to share all of this as fully until my time with Astrology Hub. And so within all that, somewhere in all that process, I also learned that I could hear Gabriel speaking just as clearly as Robert, though it was quite a different process. So the privilege of that kind of education, no words.
All right, great. Let's talk about, so it sounds like we're kind of like at a really important pivotal moment in history on this planet, and then also as individuals in our own lives. Let's talk about 2012 to 2019 and what you see happening within that time period.
So how many people probably heard about the Mayan calendar and December 21st, 2012, and tons of people feared that it was going to be the end of the world? What it was the end of a cycle, a literal 26,000 year cycle, and even bigger than that, quite honestly. But it was the end of a cycle where what we know is life ruled by the lower self, life ruled by this wounded child consciousness. It's time in evolution for this awakening to happen. So literally on December 21st, 2012, we reached as a planet the center point in the Milky Way. Again, an alignment that allowed a download to come in and permeate energetically the planet. What did it begin? It began one of the 7 soul initiations. In this case, it was the 5th initiation, which is the crucifixion initiation. So I'm going to name them real quick. Birth, baptism, transfiguration on the Mount, renunciation, crucifixion, resurrection, really important for now, and ascension into soul consciousness. Those are the energies that have been downloaded, preparing the planet to begin an integration since 97. In 2012, we began a major move into endings and new beginnings. And it put people into a void, a confusion. People say things like, I don't even know who I am anymore. What I thought was meaningful to me is no longer motivating me. I feel lost. I feel confused. I feel so empty, another huge word. I have no clue what I even want. I just know that this is not working. Why? What is the deal? Let's go back to our map. If you define yourself by the specifics of this, and you get a hit of gratification by redefining the same thing, then you go, I know who I am, and this is who I am, and this is what works for me. And when I achieve, I get a big hit of gratification. Well, remember, this energy goes, this is what's happened on the planet, the opening. And we're still in here going, oh, where did I go? I don't know how to define myself. I'm in total unknown territory. And so now I have to learn how to negotiate. What is it doing? It's creating an encouragement for us to let go of the definitions of self as some limited form. I'm the caretaker who has to play this role, or I'm the superachiever who has to do this and prove my worth. It's an encouragement to go, no, you're so much more than that. And instead of trying to define yourself by roles or outer things, this is an encouragement for you to focus on the core of self. When you can't count on the things you thought you could count on, initially there's a freak out for many people. But if we land long enough to go, wait a minute, I still have choices and I'm safe. What is important to me? What's my vision? Let me really get in touch with what I want to practice and the qualities that I want to be a part of my life. This is the encouragement. And unless we understand the map, then we don't get aligned with it as fully. But that is what is taking place. The crucifixion initiation is a time of surrendering the physical plane to the spiritual download. It's an equilateral cross. It's not about the death of a person. It's a surrender to the center point of the heart, the sun in Leo. It is a surrender to the high heart, the place of true power, the seat of power. It's a surrender that's being encouraged, but if we don't know to look inward, then we're going to do a desperate outer, which is what we're witnessing in some people. And then other people are coming together to nurture each other and to literally get in touch with a deeper purpose. This is all that's happened, and our souls are guiding the show in a direct way for the first time. We are literally moving out of this lower self up into the heart space for the first time as a planet in the history of the planet. And that is where we access the magic and the intimacy and the meaning, value, and purpose. That is what is happening. And so in 2013, we began the first year of the first chakra interrupt. And then we've moved through each chakra, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and now we're in 2018, which is the resurrection connection. So what we are in this year is, instead of just the dying away and the emptiness, the download of the higher soul plan for the whole planet and for each of us as an individual, because it's trying to align in us as individuals, just like that eclipse does, as the planets are reflecting the very same thing. When we learn to read the archetypes of the planets, we can understand how we're being supported. For instance, 2 days from now, when we have this solar eclipse, we also have a finger of God. Some people call it a yod. What does that equal? It equals two planets that join together and send their energy to another planet, forming like a triangle that points and sends energy. If you look at the configuration 2 days from now, there's a finger of God that connects Neptune and Pluto's energy directly to Mercury, which sits right on top of this eclipse, which is in the heart space, right there in the high heart. So Mercury is the messenger that sends a mental awareness of these higher energies. And these higher energies are literally sending, like I'm doing at the camera at the moment, sending it right down into where we need to integrate. So what is Neptune and Pluto? Neptune represents the superconscious mind. Pluto, I know this is a ton of information, Pluto represents the sixth dimension, memory of your entire soul history, your Akashic record, your oversoul. So your soul, higher purpose, and your oversoul energy are pointing right through the heart into an informing of this transition space. So an ending for the last years of so much familiar is now getting a download that is profound. You can't make this stuff up. It is so miraculous if we learn how to tune into it, and then we go, okay, let's open to that. Let's open and experience that. So if you don't mind a little segue here, I knew that I was going to be throwing out 1,000 layers of information and yet no time to make it integrated or practical. So what I did was I created 2 meditations for all of you who are listening that you can go to my website and get for free. Amanda's going to have a link below, I think, the video, so that you can click there and go to my website. And one of those is how to create a connection between your inner child and your compassionate adult self. And then how to take that connection, prepare a vision, and be ready in 2 days for this eclipse energy. And you can literally just do this guided meditation and align yourself so that you're not just going, oh, that's cool, that's happening, but now you know how it applies to you. So those are some thoughts.
Ooh, Ron, amazing transmission. Is this resonating with all of you out there? I mean, as you're speaking, it is as if in the last, I would say, week or two, I have felt this like gearing up of downloads, more and more, and some of them are really uncomfortable. Like that's when you were talking about the root chakras. I remember on Sunday, I was having such an experience of of awareness of where I needed to grow, and it was so uncomfortable in my stomach. I was like, oh, this is like, I feel so much anxiety right now. I feel so much, and it was palpable, and what you're saying, it's like daily that there's like more and more information about where the growth is needed, or where, thought patterns or ways of behaving, or like ways of taking action need to change, need to upgrade. And I keep this word upgrade. It's like upgrade, up level, whatever you want to say, but it feels really strong. So I don't know if everybody out there is also experiencing that. Would love to hear, because this is resonating really deeply, Ron.
It is impacting every person that I know, not just my clients. And I hear them describing the same symptoms, but I'm thrilled that my clients who will say it have tools and understand how to resolve the uncomfortability of what it's revealing. Because when higher energy comes in, it is literally shining a light on whatever unresolved soul curriculum is still there. This is not to kick our butts. It's to make us aware of it, and it brings it up so that we can nurture it and resolve it. But we need tools and we need a clear map, which is why I have dedicated my life to bringing all these different approaches together, but having a very clear integration, nurturing, self-valuing process that allows this entire movement. It is so dang exciting when you have clarity and you can come together even in community. So helpful.
Totally. I love this from Laura Lee. I have been uncomfortable and frightened. I am getting excited. That is the gift of what you're sharing with us, Ron. And just like you said, when we have consciousness about what's happening, when we have awareness about, it's less like, oh my God, what's going on? I feel so crazy. I feel so, it's like, oh, I get it. Like, I can even see you do that. This is what we're doing.
Yes,
yeah.
Exactly. And in case anybody's hearing some knocking in the background, we're having our bookend of Mercury retrograde. Somebody's knocking on my door, but I'm not going to the door. I'm going to finish doing all of this.
Fantastic. Okay. So yes, everyone is saying like, yes, it's wearing me out. Energy is very intense. I feel it. Yes, again, for sure. I've been getting hammered with downloads since the last August eclipse. It's been quite exhausting, but eye-opening and fruitful. The past 2 days have been difficult. Like I need to act and don't know the specifics yet. Yes, definitely. There's like this urge or impulse to like do things and change things, but it's like, well, what and how? And it doesn't feel like exactly the right time to actually do it, but it's like the plan is sort of, or the blueprint is downloading. So.
Well, it is time to do it if you're referring to nurturing each layer that's coming up, but it doesn't mean that the new vision is yet in place and so clear. And of course, this is the alternative,
right?
But nurturing and value are the most graceful bridge that we can create to the awareness of what doesn't work into a preparation of self where we learn self-value so that we become much more graceful in moving into the energy rather than habitually going, I'm not changing. Well, we already said when the Kundalini moves and it's inspiring movement, it's not like you can decide to not go with the flow. It's like being in a river and all of a sudden 10 times more water is going to come down the river and you decide to swim upstream. It doesn't work very well. So it's so important that people become aware of what's happening and how to nurture. So I'm hoping if you don't already have a place to plug in, that you will get involved at ronbaker.net, where I will pass on tons of ways that you can do that. But let's start with the meditations that I am sharing for everyone, please.
Yes, I was just going to say that is such a nice invitation. And I know as you were speaking about the meditations, I was thinking, okay, we have 2 more days and I could wake up extra early and do those meditations and really prepare. So maybe all of you out there could do that as well. For me, the morning is better, but maybe the evening's better, but make some level of commitment to what Ron's talking about in terms of nurturing and valuing ourselves. One way to actually assert that is to do something. And what we could do is listen to the meditations and really get in the space and prepare ourselves for the eclipse and whatever special, messages or downloads that are available to us. And one thought I had today is how busy we keep our lives, and the information's always there. The downloads are always there, but we keep ourselves so busy that we can't hear them. So maybe for all of us in the next couple of days, we can really honor and respect and nurture and value ourselves and value our role in the universe and the relationship we're in. We're in a relationship with the universe, and in order to really cultivate that and nurture that and help that grow, we need to feed it. We need to give it space. So Yeah, Ron, thank you so much. You have just given us so much to ponder, and we're basically at our time. Is there anything else that you wanted to I know there's a million other things that you want to share with us, but
of course, there's always so much. But all I'll say in closing is that when the energy shakes up the comfort zone, the wounded self wants to hide and clamor for something familiar. But the opportunity is to show up and find out how to nurture and how to work with it, so that I also want to point out, when you shift from here to here, we didn't say you're getting rid of who you were. No, you become more of who you are. It includes what came before it. It just gives you much more fulfilling alternatives. And so to realize that the child part is going, no, I can't change. No, this is who I am. And if you understand, I know that that's who you've been, and now we're going to enhance it and be this. And so this is a really important concept. There is no threat. Not one single client in 25 years has discovered a threat to what they've discovered when they nurture themselves in this way. Not one. That's a huge thing to get to inspire other people with.
Oh my gosh, Ron, I was literally in an uncomfortable conversation with my partner, and I said, but I always have done it this way. This is how I do it. And he was like, well, upgrade. It's like, oh, okay, that's a great call. I could do that. Okay, fantastic. You are amazing, Ron. Thank you so much. Okay, so like you said, the meditations are available to us. The link to download the meditations is in the chat. It's also in the description above this video. Ron, I know that you're hosting a really special event on September 8th. Can you tell us about that, why you chose September 8th, and what the event is, and how people can join you if they feel called?
What is happening on Saturday this week is a new moon solar eclipse. It is giving us time before the next new moon to prepare this download, so that at that new moon, we are prepared to set that vision into motion. This summer, 7 planets are retrograde, if you count Chiron, 7. And the only one that was still moving forward was Venus, which is soul connection. So many things to go into. So all of those retrogrades interrupt and end, and the forward movement of everything that you're putting into motion now is prepared to launch you consciously into the resurrection of the divine soul plan in you and for the planet. And so we are going to be in the ancient sites, stone circles of Ireland, leading this worldwide meditation. You can find out about it also on my website. I've included it on the meditation page. And we will come together for that new moon opportunity with everything moving forward, because this is not a tiny little window, but everything has been preparing all summer for this. And that is what I hope you will prepare your vision and your intention in order to take advantage of, so that you work with the beautiful acceleration toward soul consciousness.
Okay, so that's September 8th. It's in Ireland. How many people are going on the journey?
Well, we will be in Ireland, and there are 22 of us holding the focus, but people all around the world at different time zones. So for New York City, it'll be 12 noon. For California, it'll be 9 a.m. You in Hawaii, you're going to have to get up very early. So it's lovely when we come together and say all the same words with the same intentions at the same moment. But if you're not in a place where the time zone works exactly, it's the day. It's that whole weekend. So tune in, set your energy in motion. The hour is just so we get to know we're connected to other beings. The whole dang weekend of September 8, 9 is this movement forward. unprecedented.
Okay. So to find more information about joining you virtually for that meditation, they can go to ronbaker.net, correct?
Yes, there's
Okay.
tons of information about it, and I'm going to be giving a very specific set of things that I encourage people to do, and all of that so you can feel a part of this remarkable acceleration.
Perfect. Okay. That is really exciting, Ron. Thank you so much. And okay, so as I mentioned in the beginning of this show, this is the final episode of Astrology Hub TV in this format. We are going to continue conversations with amazing people like Ron. We are going to continue connecting with you. We're going to continue giving lots and lots of amazing free content. We're just shifting from the Facebook Live platform to an actual podcast. So you can listen to it on the go. You can, you'll have a whole menu of all of our episodes. I'm going to be co-hosting it with Donna Woodwell. And again, we're still going to be featuring amazing people. We're going to have really incredible segments that you can count on every week. And I'm really, really excited about that. So that's happening in November. So much to look forward to. We have Ron's event on the 8th. We have also the Astrology Hub's Fall Summit, the 23rd to the 29th. That is a free event. It's all about raising consciousness and aligning with your spiritual path. I mean, I can see that there's a massive theme for all of us right now. It's like, okay, we have this purpose, we have this path, we have this blueprint. Like, let's start living it. Let's start actually expressing it as fully as we can. So all of the events in the fall are really geared around that topic. Okay, well, what else was I going to say to you? Ron, let's see. Oh, yes. We do have Divina Del Sol, who we featured last week. Divina is our Inner Circle Lunar Cycle Guide, starting on Friday on the new moon eclipse. Well, that's what the topic will be. Ron, is the best day to be getting the downloads, this was Laura's question, actually on the day of the eclipse, or is this like portal open for a window?
Well, it's like it comes together, like if you watch a full lunar eclipse, it comes together for a specific window of time. But as long as you're even in the days around it, the impact of it, and certainly the closer you can get to the time when it does align in the early morning on Saturday, in Eastern time anyway, but the night before, the morning after, what is so important is that you set your intention now, so that as it's happening, you've already claimed that as a focus. So that's what I would suggest, is that you prepare now, do the meditation on my website, and set it in motion so that as this is happening, you just become a part of the event.
Okay. All right. Perfect, Ron. A couple questions from people about the podcast. Andrea says, will all the old content stay up? Yes, it will. Elaine says, seeing you is important and hearing is only half. Elaine, we know. And so the podcast is going to start as just audio while we're just working out the kinks of a new format, but eventually we'll record the video portion too. And we're still going to post these things on Facebook so that you can easily access them. The idea here is to make it easier, better, simplify. But we definitely, I know that about video. That's one of the reasons why I've loved the Facebook Live platform, is just because it is so alive. So anyways, we will be doing that as well. So don't worry. And also there will be other Facebook Live events. You know, we're always doing things. So it's not like you're never going to see us again. You're only going to be hearing from us. You will be seeing us. Well, it's just more. So like we've been saying, upgrade. It's an upgrade. Okay. I think that sounds great. Do we just need the podcast app? Yes, you can just download the app. I mean, you can just download the podcast. You know, if you have a smartphone, that you usually have the podcast app there, you can download it. So we'll give a lot more instructions on how to access the new show and all the different platforms. Okay. What we would love to do now is end with the manifesto video one more time. So for those of you who joined us late and you didn't see it, this is a video that we are so excited to be sharing with the world. It really is just this summation of the Astrology Hub community and our mission and our values and what we're sharing together as a community. So I hope that you feel that way too, especially those of you who have been a part of the Astrology Hub community for a long time. I hope that you watch it and go, oh yeah, that's us, that's me. So Stephanie, if you can cue that up now, that would be fantastic. Let's see, there she is. All right, enjoy.
We believe
it's time to remember.
time to remember.
Remember our purpose.
Remember the intelligence guiding our purpose.
And that astrology holds a key.
We believe living our purpose is not an option.
It's necessary.
To live better.
Be better. Better friends.
Parents,
Children.
Lovers.
be fully alive.
We see a world where people understand and embrace who they are, enabling them to embrace others.
And take care of each other.
And the planet.
We believe we can't remember alone.
We're meant to do this together,
Together.
Together.
to co-create.
We believe millions of souls are hearing the call to study the sky.
To declare the stars are guides.
And the universe and earth are partners.
We believe our ancients embodied this wisdom.
And we believe the world is ready to align to it again.
We believe the journey needs to be accessible, practical, and grounded.
So we can use the wisdom of astrology to live better lives.
We study the cosmic curriculum.
We study the cosmic curriculum
So we can connect and live powerfully
on purpose,
And together.
together,
together.
for a new world.
We are astrology lovers.
Astrology lovers.
Astrology lovers.
We are
We are Astrology Hub.
We are Astrology Hub. We are Astrology Hub.
We are Astrology Hub.
Good job.
All right.
Awesome.
Okay, we're almost done. Oh my God.
We believe... That's not a word.
Honestly, I'm so thrilled about you and what you do and everything.
Okay, well, would love to hear what you think about the video. Please, Ron is so amazing at engaging with all of you. So if you have questions, comments, feedback, whatever, I know Ron is going to be in there connecting with you. Thank you so much for being a part of this journey. Thank you so much for, wow, I'm crying, sorry. It just feels like such a full circle moment. Just thank you so much for showing up and for caring and for being who you are, because I can feel this tribe that we are. And there are so many of us who are awake and aware and here to experience and to be in that, like Ron was saying, to be in our hearts and to live from that place. And if what Ron is saying is true, for the first time ever in the history of the human race on this planet. So, we don't have a roadmap. We don't have the path clearly laid out. It's ours to create. And this is a really, really exciting time. And we're not doing it alone. We have each other. We have the universe. We have the planets. We have the stars. We have it all. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being a part of Astrology Hub TV. I hope that you'll follow us and migrate over to the podcast and that you'll love it just as much or more than everything that we've been doing so far. And we always love to hear from you. So please email, reach out whenever you want, support@astrologyhub.com. We love you all. Thank you so much. Ron, thank you for being here. It feels so perfect to have you on this last episode. I can't get over it. All right, everybody, take care, and we will talk to you again soon.